guys, Stephanie here, and I'm back with more movie chatter. And if this is your first time here, I want to thank you for checking out my channel. If you're a regular, welcome back. This is a movie channel, so everything I talk about here is movie related. I do reviews, top 10 lists, collection updates, and videos like the one I'm doing today, where I give you a few picks for Blu-rays and rentals to watch at home, as well as a few choices for those of you who want to head out and see a movie in the theater. So if this is the type of content you enjoy, this is the point where I tell you, hit that subscribe button and the bell notification so you'll know when I upload my videos. And before I get into my picks of the week, I just wanted to take care of a little bit of housekeeping that I have here. First thing is these shelves that sit behind me. They're by a company called Atlantic, and they're called the Drawbridge shelves. And quite a few people have asked me about these shelves. And when I bought them, they were only $29. They hold, I believe, 150 Blu-rays each. But they're not the best quality, but they're decent. And I mean, they're nice they hold all the steel books with no problem, and they're the heaviest things that I have. It's also nice for display purposes if you want to put some things on top of them. And for a while, the price had shot up on Amazon to $40, and they're just not worth that. But now they're back down to $29 on Amazon. So I'm going to link them in the description so you guys can go right to the page. And if you want to pick up some extra shelving, I actually picked up 5 for myself just to have to kind of future-proof my ever-growing physical media collection storage space. But if you're looking for shelving, I mean, these are great, and Atlantic makes a lot of different kinds of shelves, so they would kind of match with if you wanted to get some bigger ones for bigger spaces. But these have been really great. They've held up awesome, and just because I've had so many requests asking me where to get them, and now that the price is back down, I'm going to throw the link in the description so you guys can go check those out. And the second thing is I want to give a shout out to another channel, another YouTube channel, and it's my friend Nathan Jones. He has a great channel. He's got great taste in movies. He's a nice guy. He interacts with his audience. He answers everybody. He shows really great movies in his collection. He has really cool segments, like he's doing 100 years of movies where he picks a decade and he'll take a movie from each year that's his favorite movie, and just really creative stuff. And he's a really nice guy, and he really deserves a lot more subs and a lot more interaction than what he's getting on his channel, because he really turns out some great content, and I really enjoy him. And we kind of go back and forth. We keep joking now we're joking that we keep increasing each other's shopping lists, because every time I watch his videos or he watches mine, we find new things that we need to buy. But I'm going to link Nathan down in the description. Go over there, check him out, give him a sub, tell him I said hello. But he really is a good guy, and I think you're going to be happy with his channel. So, with the housekeeping out of the way, let's get right to my picks of the week. And this first one is, it came out like in the last month. It is called Upgrade. And I heard a lot of good things about this, but I hadn't seen it. And we have our main character here, Gray, who, it's set in the future. They show you right from the beginning. It's very futuristic. Like, his wife works for a computer type company, and she rides home in a self-driving vehicle, and they show you shots of the city where there's all sorts of modern things going on. But it's really a cool setting. But he is old school. He loves to tinker with classic cars. I think he was working, in the beginning of the movie, he's working on like a Trans Am or something. And he works for these pretty affluent clients who want his, special made, their classic cars at this point. And he builds them, and all he wants to do is work with his hands and work on these cars. And his wife, like I said, total opposite, all into futuristic stuff, all into the computers. But it's really cool, some of the gadgets that they show in the movie. Anyway, he's going to deliver his latest car to an inventor who's buying the car from him. He takes his wife along, and the wife starts talking to the fella, and she reveals that she works for a company that makes limbs for soldiers who have been injured in war. And he kind of, blows her off like, yeah, you're nothing. And he's like, wait till you see what I have. And he shows him this little chip, and he calls it STEM, and he says this is going to change everything. It's going to change everything for everyone. It's going to change the world. And they kind of leave. They leave it at that, and, Gray is totally unimpressed. He doesn't care about any of that stuff. Well, they decide to have a night out. They're in the car, the self-driving car malfunctions, they end up in a bad neighborhood, and they are assaulted by a bunch of thugs, a group of thugs. They are assaulted. Gray ends up in the hospital. When he wakes up, he finds out he is a quadriplegic. Can't move his arms, can't move his legs. And I'm briefly summarizing this because I don't want to give away everything. He is then given the opportunity by his client to secretively have STEM implanted in him, because he tells him it will cure him and he will be able to walk and use his arms and everything that he wants to do and everything he was able to do before his attack. And he agrees to have STEM implanted, and now he finds out that he is slowly coming back and able to use his limbs. And he also finds out that not only can he use them, but he has almost like superpowers. And they're almost, when he has STEM take over and operate his body, he has superhuman strength and superhuman speed. I mean, it's pretty amazing. But the whole thing has to remain secret. No one can know about it. Only he and the inventor know about it. And the inventor tracks his every move so he knows what he's doing. So every time he sees someone, he has to pretend he's still in the wheelchair, and you get the gist. Anyway, what he wants to do with his newfound powers is he wants to hunt down the people who attacked him and his wife. And that's pretty much what I can tell you. But this is a really fun movie. There's a lot of action. The fight sequences and the action sequences were great. It is violent. It is bloody in spots. So if you can handle that, I highly recommend this. And the movie definitely comes full circle. The story is great. The story arc is great. It moves along at a nice pace. There was nothing that was too long or dragged out. There was not a boring minute in this. And I really think it's worth a look. So whether you rent it or you buy it, I would definitely say give Upgrade. I always say Upgraded. Give Upgrade a look. And like I always say, do your homework, because just because I love it doesn't mean you're going to love it. If you want to stream it first, go ahead and do that. But either way you do it, definitely give it a look. It's a good one. And this next one surprised me. I am going to recommend a horror film again, guys. So this one is from Scream Factory, and this was recommended to me by many credible sources who are really true horror people. And it's called Ghost Stories. And we have our main guy who goes, his name is Professor Goodman. And what his job is he kind of goes around and he debunks all these myths about when you see psychic network or people who say they can contact the dead. And he feels like the whole thing is a big ripoff. So he spends his life investigating and exposing these people, saying that everything they're doing is a ripoff and a scam, and they're taking advantage of people who are desperate to find loved ones. So that's his life's work. And at one point he receives a file. And in the file there are 3 cases where this gentleman, who also agreed that the whole thing was a scam, he had 3 cases that he feels prove that there could be something to all this supernatural stuff. So he passes the cases on to Professor Goodman, and he's like, you know, go find them, go see what you can find out, and if you can debunk these, then bring it back to me and tell me what you find. And they're really interesting. Then the story takes you through him meeting with each person, and it is so creepy and so good. And I can tell you, there's not gore. It's not a gory type of slasher horror movie, but it is definitely, the creep factor is off the charts. And what the interesting thing is each story, each individual story, makes Professor Goodman feel like there's something familiar in it to his life. So that's what I'm going to leave you with. And I can tell you that the ending of this movie totally surprised me, blew me away, changed the whole movie. So right there, I think you have your high rewatchability, because you're definitely going to have a different experience with it on your second or third watch. This is one I would probably say it's safe to give it a buy if you're comfortable with that. But yeah, this is a really good one, and I was really surprised by it. It was so much better than I expected it to be. And I think if you like things like The Conjuring and that type of horror, I think you're really going to enjoy this. And there's a really good story that goes with it, and it's just good stuff. I enjoyed it from beginning to end. Not too long, not too short, never boring. Like I say, moves along. Story arc is really good, so I think you're going to really enjoy it. Ghost Stories, it's a good one. And this last one is a total blind buy for me. I have not watched it yet, but it was recommended to me by an Instagram friend who I'm going to link in the description. He goes by the name Oswald Zizou, I think is how you pronounce it, but I'm going to link him in the description. He gave a glowing review to this, as did many other people, so I'm giving it a blind buy. you guys can do that, or you can stream it, whatever. This is actually a Scream Factory release, and it is called Low Life. And the way it's been compared to me is it's like almost a Tarantino type of film, and in particular Pulp Fiction. So people say if you like Tarantino and you really like Pulp Fiction, you're going to like Low Life. And what it really centers on is there's three main guys, and one of them is into this organ harvesting, and he needs a kidney. And I think what the gist of it that I got from what I saw and what I've read is that these three guys are kind of working together, and they're doing their own things, but they all kind of tie together into this organ harvesting thing. So it sounds like it's really good. I'm sure there's probably a high level of violence. It is, it's not rated, so it's probably pretty intense, but I've heard that it's really good, and I heard people say that there are points where it may feel like it's a little disjointed, but in the end it all comes together. And in my last video I actually read the back cover, but I'm going to do it again for you guys who haven't seen it. It says, what happens when you throw together one fallen Mexican wrestler with serious rage issues, one just out of prison ex-con with a regrettable face tattoo. He has a swastika tattooed on his face, so it is regrettable. And one recovering junkie motel owner in search of a kidney. So there you go. That's the gist of this movie, and like I said, I have heard nothing but great things about it. So if you want to take a chance on something like I did, definitely check out Low Life. That would be my third pick for this week. And like I said in the beginning, do your homework. Don't just run out and buy things. Decide, do your research, decide if you want to stream it first, or, you know, I can always give you more thoughts on it after I watch it, because I plan on watching it tonight, but it looks so good I just wanted to grab it and share it with you guys. So Low Life, that's my third pick for home. And as for the theater, we still have things out there like The Meg. Searching is still doing really well. The Nun seems to be really bombing. It seems to be a big disappointment. I actually canceled my tickets because we had such a bad rainstorm here, so I didn't want to run out in the rain and see a movie that was kind of but it's not getting the greatest reviews. Now, Peppermint is being crushed by the critics, but the audience seem to like it, which to me is much more important than the critics. So maybe give Peppermint a look. That was the kind of murder revenge story with Jennifer Garner. And did I say The Meg? The Meg is still out there. Mission Impossible is still out there. Black K Klansman is still out there. And I think that Christopher Robin is still out there. There's a lot of them, you know, the same ones that are still running around out there. And then the new ones for this week, the first one looks really interesting. It's called A Simple Favor. And we have this girl who, lady, who is she's a grown woman. She is a mommy vlogger, and she meets up with one of her son's classmates' moms, and they kind of hit it off. And long story short, the woman goes missing, and this vlogger she is desperate to find this woman. So she starts putting posters up, and she's vlogging about it, and she talks to people in her life. Now I'm going from reviews and the trailer. She talks to people in her life who say, you know what, you don't want to dig too much into her past because you're not going to like what you find, and she's not the person that you think she is. So that looks like it's really good, and it gets really pretty high marks across the board. So I think that one might be worth checking out. I know I'm interested in it. I want to do a little more research, but I'm interested in that one. And then the other one that I have seen the trailer for this, I think, every time I have been to the movies for the past 2 months. It's called White Boy Rick, and it stars Matthew McConaughey. And it's a true story that took place in Detroit in the 1980s about a young man, I mean really young, like a teenager, who became a drug dealer, and then his father, who's played by Matthew McConaughey, was kind of working with him, and then they became police informants. So it looks like it's a big convoluted mess of drugs and then turning and you know what goes on in that. And Detroit is no place to be messing around with that stuff. So it seems like could be a pretty gritty street type of drug story. So those would be my picks for the theater. And I hopefully between my picks for home and my picks for the theater, you guys have found something that interests you. And I want to thank you guys as always for watching. You know I appreciate it. If you enjoyed this video, give me a thumbs up. Leave me a comment, you know, like, share, hit the bell, subscribe, do whatever you like, because I appreciate everything. If you come in and you watch for 2 minutes, I appreciate it. Anything you guys do, I really, really appreciate it. And I am going to be back real soon because I have those other 2 videos that I promised you guys that they're just about done. Thank goodness. I'm so happy. Anyway, that's going to do it for me today. So for now, that's a wrap.